Hello out there. Welcome to Wake Up to the Bible. I'm Daniel Kaplan. I'm here with my father, Dr. Kaplan, and we're going through the books of the law, Genesis through Deuteronomy, over the course of this year. We're reading a little bit every day. Today, it's a very short section, just Genesis 28, 5 through 9. We're actually following the traditional Jewish weekly portion readings. They also divide it up into 7 sections. This is the 7th section for this week, Genesis 28, 5 through 9. I'll be reading the Robert Alter translation. And Isaac sent Jacob off, and he went to Paddan Aram to Laban, son of Bethuel, the Aramean, brother of Rebekah, mother of Jacob and Esau. And Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob, and had sent him off to Paddan Aram to take him a wife from there, when he blessed him and charged him, saying, You shall not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. And Jacob listened to his father and to his mother, and went to Paddan Aram. And Esau saw that the daughters of Canaan were evil in the eyes of Isaac his father. And Esau went to Ishmael, and he took Mahalath, daughter of Ishmael, son of Abraham, in addition to his wives, as a wife. And that will end this section. It's a short little bit, but it does button up the story, right? And it gives us a few more clues as to what is going on. It definitely seems, again, based on the way that the last section was bookended and the way that this section is bookended, is that ultimately the behavior of Esau, specifically in regards to who he was marrying, was an indication of his character. His father realized that, because it says the daughters of Canaan were evil in the eyes of Isaac his father, so he realized that, and now he's trying to kind of make amends, but it's probably, well, it is a little bit too little too late, and it's just an interesting bookend to the whole thing. So what are some of the things that come to mind when you hear about this?
It does not say that Rebekah told Isaac, Esau wants to kill his brother.
That's true.
The issue she raised was the marriage issue. So that's interesting. It's one commentator was commenting that it's as if she didn't want to trouble Isaac with this more negative about Esau. But it's interesting. She was, in a way, less than upfront. Again, maybe it's not quite deceptive, but she's less than fully candid, because her concern seemed to be more just for the survival of Jacob rather than the marriage part. It seems like, but that's what she focused on in talking to Isaac. That's just something interesting to think about. But I mean, obviously that was an issue to Abraham, and would have been an issue to Isaac and Rebekah in terms of, especially after what Esau did. And it's interesting that Esau now wants to correct the situation, and so maybe he thinks he still has the option of maybe getting blessed by his dad. He hasn't given up on that. Maybe and so he's now still trying to do things to ingratiate himself with his father. Pardon me, and evidently with his mother too. I think it mentions both of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, one thing you do get is a pattern on Jacob's side.
No. It says did not please his father Isaac. So I think he's still trying to. If you don't mind my
No. Go ahead.
Yeah, it seems like it's particularly he's hoping maybe still that he can undo the
Right.
what Jacob did. So he goes to Ishmael, and that's not necessarily the best answer, because what they could have done, they could have said that too. They could have sent Jacob to Ishmael, but they didn't.
Right.
So for some reason, it was preferable to go back to Syria than to go to Ishmael. That would be, somehow the Syrian branch had a better relationship with the God of Abraham than evidently Ishmael did at this point, it would seem.
Right. No, it is true. It seems like he's still not quite getting the picture, right? He's trying, but he's not quite getting the picture. But one thing I was thinking, because it says, and Jacob listened to his father and to his mother, it does seem like one thing to kind of soften what he did in the last couple of days is that he was in fact listening to his mother. And while we're not obligated to listen to our parents when they're asking us to do something sinful, on the other hand, it is to his credit that he does seem to respect his parents in a way that his brother does not. There does seem to be that juxtaposition between the two of them.
Now, Esau was not the best kind of character, obviously, but yet he somehow managed to convince his father that he was, and here he's trying to do something to get in well with his father. You know, the Jews have a tradition about Esau, and they compare him to a pig that is sitting and putting out its split hooves and saying, "See, I have split hooves. I'm kosher," when actually it's not the case. you know,
Mm,
in other words, there's a facade there.
mm.
That's not the real person, and that's now later on though. See, the Jews under the control of Rome, they used the term Edom as a code word for Rome, possibly because they were controlled under the control of Herod. Herod was the agent of the Romans, and he was an Idumean, which means he was descended from Esau, although they had converted to Judaism. They had been forced to at some point in history, but still he was looked upon as a descendant of Edom, and as in Jewish writings, Edom became a code word for Rome. So some of the hostile writing you see about Edom is actually a criticism of the Romans.
Yeah, it's interesting because the text doesn't say and therefore what? It just says he took another wife, and it
Yeah,
doesn't give a reaction, which I think is kind of
yeah.
says it all, right? It doesn't seem like it really had much of an impact in terms of the way that the parents felt about Esau. That like I said, it was a little bit too little, too late. And to your point, was maybe not even ultimately what they really wanted. It was just another attempt at trying to do things his way versus the way that they had wanted to do. So interesting.
There's a Jewish tradition that Leah, the firstborn there of Laban, was concerned that she would have to marry the firstborn of Isaac, that she would have to marry Esau.
Oh,
And it turns out, though, that she and Rachel both marry Jacob, rather than, but theoretically, she as a firstborn could have married Esau, and then Rachel married Jacob if things had maybe worked out differently.
interesting. Hmm. All right. So, any other comments about this section?
Well, again, if you're an ethnographer, you see that Ishmael had an Egyptian wife, and so there's a connection between the descendants of Ishmael and the Egyptians. And here we have Edom marrying a sister of, I think she says, a sister of Nebaioth, right? It calls her. Um,
What was that? I'm sorry.
he marries a daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, uh, the sister of Nebaioth. So
Hmm.
who was for some reason that's brought out. So it just shows you just how the ethnic groups are developing in the Middle East.
Hmm.
As I said, it gives you a background on the ethnicity of the peoples of the Middle East.
Yeah. You also have the example of the because it says in addition to his wives as a wife, it's kind of layering on the polygamous aspect. Doesn't seem particularly positive the way that it's calling that out. Obviously, Isaac was not polygamous. Jacob will end up being unintentionally polygamous. We'll get to
Yeah,
that a little bit later. But he's not asked to be polygamous. You'll notice we talked about it yesterday, but in his instruction he said, take a wife. There are multiple daughters that he could marry, and it seems like Esau, got at least the first two pretty close. They're mentioned at the same time, so I don't know if they all got married at the same time exactly, but it was within a short period of time that he took on, and now he's taking on another. And I would say the way that it points that out, in addition to his other wives. Well, obviously it's in addition to his wife, but I think that's calling it out is just kind of speaking to that. It's again not a sign of him really following in the footsteps of his parents.
well, later on, I think you're going to find they had other children. Well, I won't. I haven't reviewed Genesis 36 lately, but um, well, we'll see in the genealogy. And maybe the three women were all that he had, but I'll save those comments when we get to Genesis. I see in Genesis 36 we have more of the genealogy after Esau. So
Right.
we'll see how that goes. But at least we see that he had so far three wives.
It's a tease for the future.
Well,
All right. So, any other comments? All right.
no.
So we will see you tomorrow with the next segment. If you are enjoying this podcast, please like, subscribe, hit the bell, share with your friends so we have more people reading the law together. If you have any comments about anything from Genesis through Deuteronomy, it's a pretty big chunk of the Bible, just comment. You can comment anywhere. You don't have to comment on the specific video if you want to comment about something we haven't gotten to yet, because we'll get to it and we'll talk to it, and we will see you in the future tomorrow, to be exact.